Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with aBlogtoWatch. Please subscribe to our videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. This is a review of the Rado HyperChrome Automatic Chronograph limited edition. I guess there's a bunch of limited edition versions of the HyperChrome. It's one of the most popular models that the brand has right now. And there's a bunch of different versions of it. This one, it's hard to tell a little bit, has kind of a brownish cast to the ceramic case, which actually goes quite nicely with these rose gold tone flanks on the side here and accents on the dial. There's a version of this which is, I'll say, totally kind of gray. There's a black model of it, so there's a variety of the HyperChrome chronographs. But overall, let's just sort of talk about what they have in common. So the case is 45 millimeters wide. It is in ceramic, and of course ceramic is a hallmark feature of not all, but most Rado watches. I want to sort of sum this watch up before I really go into the details, and I think that it's a great kind of first luxury watch for someone who's younger, so someone who's maybe in their early 20s, as early as the late teens, and maybe into their late 20s depending on their style and things like that. What I really like about it is the fact that it does have a lot of classic proportions to it, but at the same time it is very much a youthful inspired watch. So there it is on the wrist, and again at 45 millimeters wide, it's not by no means a small watch, but I think that the sort of curved case wears very nicely. You'll notice that the center link here is brushed while the outer links are polished. And of course, so much of the dial itself and the case and the bezel is polished. It's obviously meant to be very sporty. It's a chronograph, and I like the sort of three-dimensional elements on the dial there. Not the most legible watch in the world. Of course, there are lume on the hands and on the periphery of the hour markers there. Overall, nice proportions, but like I said, everything seems a little bit inflated. It seems kind of large. It's meant to be very bold, and it has what I'll call an inspired look to it. So I'd say it's less classic and less formal and more about being dressy, but in a very youthful sense. And so every time I wore this watch, I kept coming back to the idea that this is a watch for people who are younger, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think there needs to be more watches that are very youthful oriented. The price may not be something that everyone who's young can afford, but it actually is not pretty reasonable in the scheme of things for the watch that you get. Interesting kind of clasp here. You can see it's I'll call it a half butterfly. So it's sort of a normal fold over deployant, nice titanium clasp there, but there's this little half one here which allows you to wear it a lot more comfortably. And what I like about that is that this system allows the deployant to be relatively small or narrow here in terms of this part, because this part could be a lot bigger, and that would mean that it doesn't wear very comfortably. You can see the movement through the rear of the case. This is an ETA movement. This is a 2894, I believe, which is a triple register chronograph, so it's obviously an automatic. 12-hour chronograph. There's the date. The date window is round, which is nice. It kind of goes with this sort of like repeating circle theme, but I still kind of would prefer the date disc itself to be a darker color, maybe a black, or at least kind of a gray to match the color of the dial. It's fine. You notice the date. It's not terrible, but it kind of sticks out a little bit and ruins a little bit of the pleasant symmetry. One of the things which I find interesting about Rado watches, I don't think it's all of them, but many of them have what I call the secret rotor. What does that mean? Well, if you look here at the Rado logo, above it is a small anchor. And that anchor actually is a tiny rotor. It doesn't do anything, it just kind of spins around, but it's kind of this play on the idea of it being an automatic watch, which is kind of cool. It gets a little stuck because it's obviously tiny, but if you wear the watch around a lot, you can see that little anchor logo moves, and it's a fun little detail that I think someone could easily miss it. They could wear this watch for a long time and easily miss it. Design of the pushers is quite nice here. You can see they're not exactly what I call flush, but they're inset a little bit more, and there's this sort of nice sort of cohesive design there. There isn't really too many other details of a watch like this that aren't going to be readily obvious. It's comfortable, I can say that. It does have an attractive, distinctive look. It is It is traditional in terms of proportions and the overall layout, but again, with the ceramic case, with the polishes, with the colors, with this kind of brown tone to it, it definitely has a very contemporary feel, which I like, and that's why I think it does make a very good sort of youth-oriented watch. This version of the Rado HyperChrome Automatic Chronograph retails for $4,800, and you can see the full review on aBlogtoWatch. Thanks.